All right, good evening, everybody. We're out in the drill. Oh, getting a little bit overlap there. We are in my biggest field. So we have 3 fields that are over 350 acres. Dad has the largest one. I think it's right around 605 acres. And then we have one that is split 50-50, and that one's about 550. And then we have this one, which is right around 360 acres. It was pea stubble, or I guess it was peas last year. It is pea stubble. So we got a bit of a rain last night. We had planned on finishing up everything up north. And we have my smallest field left, which is 124 acres, I believe. And we had the semi move there. We had the drill topped off in the yard. And it's only about a 5-mile, 6-mile trip to that field. No sooner did we get the drill topped off than it started raining. It doesn't seem like much. It's right at dark. We don't want to move the drill down the road at dark. So we shut her down. And then it rained. Then it rained some more. And we ended up with a little over a 1/4 inch. And that land can be pretty greasy. And it was. So we decided that we're going to leave that one till the end. And we picked up everything and we moved down south here. So this is my first field of canola down south. I already have 2 other fields of canola in. Dad has a few more. Right now, Dad only has 400 acres of canola left. I have... what's left here? 206, 220 to 340 plus 270. I got about 600 acres left. So that's down here. And then I got the other one. So I got 700 acres left. Between the 2 of us, we should have kind of 1150-ish if my math is close. Today is the Friday of May long. When we started early, we were initially hoping we'd be done by May long. It's not that we've had any breakdowns, any serious ones anyways. It's just that we've had a lot of shutdowns from little rain here and there. And you know what? When you're nice and far ahead, those are really easy to swallow shutdowns. It doesn't look like we're going to get done on Monday. I think if it wasn't raining, we would get done on Monday. Having said that, we could decide last minute because, like, within an hour, Zach should be done spraying. And by done spraying, I mean done the last of our burn off. So, hey, potentially we could look at staggering guys, this, that, the other, if we decide to try and go 24 hours. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. That's something we'll have to decide after tomorrow, because tomorrow I have a seed trial going in again. Hopefully it's not windy as hell this time, so I can actually do some filming. So we shall see. These seed trials, they're nice because I do get a fair amount of free product, and I get like first-hand experience, low risk of trying out new stuff. Like, until last year, I hadn't really, not that I thought anything poorly of them, but I hadn't thought much about decal. Well, I did a decal trial last year, and it performed very well. In the side-by-side trials, it actually outperformed the Invigor stuff. Oh, that's a big rock. big honking deadhead there, yeah. Luckily, the shanks trip over it real nice. Oh, there's one just kicked out there if I would have held it in place. Our packing pressure, Dad must have dropped her down a little bit. Things have been going quite well. Where to start? Yeah, the other day we were having a funny engine code with this thing. It seems to have gone away. It was never a critical alert. It was just, I think it was something with an injector, and I suspect it just might have been dirtied up and may have cleaned itself. And the reversing fan is starting to leak, I think, more than it has been in the past. Other than that, Delta Track's been good. Doesn't seem like there's been anything serious yet. I don't like saying that and go knock wood, especially when there's no wood in here to knock on. The drill has been damn good. So ever since we got this little prototype thing, it's performed quite admirably. We haven't had any disconnects or communication issues or nothing. So that's been fabulous. Hopefully they don't have any reason to not continue with that, and they can just get us an official production run one and the new cables. Oh, my uncle got out here today and he pushed in some trees for me. Awesome. The drill has been running very, very well. We've had very few plugs. We have had a few. It does seem like the air guard helps, in particular on the wet mornings, but at the same time, I do feel like we get less air out of that fan by a long ways. In the toolbar, we have had a couple minor issues. Nothing serious, but we had 3 hoses. 2 of them were cut too short from factory, and they kept pulling themselves out of the boot every time you'd go through a bit of a swale. The other was too long, and even with the shank in the ground, it had a bit of a rise coming out of the manifold and then down. And it always seemed to be plugging, and not plugging at the boot. You just shake the hose and all of a sudden it was just like it didn't have enough air. So going back, probably would have been fine without the air guards, but we got the air guard. I don't know, we cut it, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches shorter, put her on. There's still one more that I think we need to cut down a little bit, just because it does have that little hump when it's in the ground, but it hasn't given us trouble yet. I don't think we've ever had a plug on that one. And we had at least one, I did notice 1 or 2 others, but one seed hose that wasn't pushing in the boot far enough, it must have kinked over, and when we were doing serials, it wore a hole through, and it really shouldn't. So when we go to put our hoses in, we slob the snot out of it with like WD-40 or Pam cooking spray or some sort of lubricant, both inside the boots and the outside of the hose, and ram it down as deep as we can. In the fertilizer ones, we like to be probably about that far from the bottom. In the seed ones, probably a little tighter to the bottom, because they don't seem to pitch over as much. They've got a little protector on them. Other than that, it's been good. We've had 1 or 2 broken bolts on shanks. Hey, we got some rocks. It's going to happen. Can't be upset. We had a rock to get caught in the duals. I wasn't there for it. Dad said he just had to it's one of the casters. He just had to kind of wiggle it back and forth and knock it out. said in the process he broke off a grease nipple. Oh well. What else? Actually, I should talk about the mapping. The mapping has been pretty good, but it still needs improvement. The SCTX definitely has helped us out just on the visualization alone when you're going back to get a little triangle. So you can see the blues are the shanks that are in, and as I'm making this turn, eventually the whites are telling me how they're out and how far ahead they're looking. Blues are engaged, red's the toolbar, and you're just going to see them start dropping in there. Because I'm going around this slough. That has, I think, has really helped at least me, because I had a hard time visualizing how far ahead we had to look for the shanks to engage properly and the fertilizer, or sorry, the product to get there. So yeah, that's been nice as well. The turn compensation, you might, once I get a little further to this corner, you might even be able to see it. Well, you kind of can right now. Is that, sorry, I'm trying to drive and film, and I'm probably doing both terribly. As I'm going almost straight right now, but as I start turning, so kind of now, you're going to start noticing it's going to send more product to the outside and you're less to the inside. So that was actually out of the ground for a second. So you're going to see negatives, and positives there. Woo, that gets you every time when that reversing fan kicks in. But then as you straighten out, you're going to start seeing the numbers balance out eventually. Still turning a little bit. I believe in some cases that's probably saved us from plugging. Oh, Devin, you're missing out tiny bits. Maybe not. Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing this entirely right, but Dad said just strike a line. Or I should say, I thought Dad said he struck a line. He said it was like 20 degrees north, and I thought we were going to sew this at a little bit of an angle just for a smoother ride. So I just went off of his, and we are going perfectly perpendicular to last year's. So I get the impression that he did not strike a line. However, we like to ideally sow our canola east and west, just on the off chance that it lodges really bad or gets blown down in the wind. East and west are the prevailing winds, makes it easier to swath rather than this little chattery stuff all day. And keep in mind, this is pea stubble. It ain't that bad of a ride. It is subtle, but it's there. So we got, what, 22-ish acres left. And I'm just striking a streak right up the middle. That's actually where I'm going. It might end up being the longest run possible out here. Maybe 2 or 3 over that way. That's provided I get past that stone pile, which it looks like I will. Yeah. As far as percentage done, it kind of sounds like we are right around the average. I know of at least 3 people that are finished. Another one probably tomorrow. And like I said, if it wasn't going to rain on Monday, or if it doesn't rain on Monday, I think we would be done on Monday. I really should go around that stone pile because I'm that close to it. But I want to ride out this auto steer because this is the first time I've auto steered all night. Whatever. I do what I want. We've got a lot done here. Dad's got a lot done. I got some done. But we're just cruising along. This drill just, it eats acres. Like, I knew we were, I shouldn't say wasting time, but like, I knew our efficiency was suffering from, filling the drill. Because with the old setup, we were taking a 100 bushel tank and just putting a mini bulk, usually at a time, and then we would have 500 bushel worth of fertilizer. Well, we've got a 480 bushel tank on that. That is pretty much equivalent to what the entire drill of the other one would hold in fertilizer when we were doing canola, because we only had 3 tanks. Well, now we've got the 60 bushel tank, I think it is, on the front. And so then we have like 940 bushels of fertilizer. And boy, does that make a difference. And like, I'm talking, we used to float fertilizer. I'm not a fan of that. I'm happy we got away from it. If you take the savings we should get from not floating fertilizer, sorry, I'll back up. The reason we floated fertilizer was primarily logistics. Yes, we would get a lot of fertilizer on, and we always like to put some down with the seed, but I'm sure, beyond sure, that despite your yeast inhibitors and all the other stuff, we were definitely losing nitrogen. Now, we're putting everything down by the seed right where it needs to be, and that makes me happy. So, we should see a boost in yields, hopefully, if the weather cooperates. Should see a savings, because not only are we not floating fertilizer at $8-9 an acre, and we're not losing that, but we're also having product savings from the sectional control, both on the floating and on this guy. Because the floater had, the custom guy, he had 70-foot booms, I think, or 66. But he just had one section or the other. So if we had to go get a 6-foot strip, we were spraying it, or floating with 33 feet. Or with our drill, if we had to go get a 6-foot strip, we were doing that with 60 feet. So there should be less overlap, there should be less use of fertilizer. There probably is going to be fuel savings because of that. And I'm thinking all that savings will pay for the drill itself, in theory. Now, in reality, we are seeing some decreases on how much inputs we've been putting on. I shouldn't say on, in per acre. Now, when we get to the end, we'll have to sit down and crunch the real numbers and see how things are going. And we might actually have to really crank it up for the last field or two, just to make sure that we go through what we have contracted and in the bins and all that. But I'm hoping to see some really good crops out of this thing.